Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. Well, a few days back, Ian McCollum at Forgotten Weapons did a really interesting video about the initial AG42, the Jungmann. And the Jungmann is a rifle developed by Sweden. It's basically developed on the SVT 38, I think, which was a Russian-built rifle. The Finns had captured one or two in the Winter War and had shipped one into Sweden, where the Jungmann company had taken a look at it. Well, Sweden at the time was trying to come up with a design for a semi-automatic rifle, and well, they didn't really like any of the designs that came out of their folks in the Army procurement system. So they went over to a plumbing company that was known for making pumps and talked to a guy named Eric Eklund. And Eric looked at that original Soviet rifle and came up with an adaptation, and rather quickly, and sold it to the Swedes, and it was called the AG42. Well, I used to own an AG42B. It had terrible problems with headspace, and I gave it back to the dealer I bought it from. And now I kick myself every time I think of that, because especially when I was watching the video by Ian, I discovered there's a little metal plate that's inside the rifle where the thing makes a lockup for headspace, and if it's out of timing, basically, you just replace that one piece and you have a new one. So all you need is a hardened piece of metal that's the right size, a few thousandths larger than the one that's in there. And I could have done that, and I never knew. I'm the dummy, you know, hindsight 2020 and all that. Well, anyway, later on I picked up this. This is an Egyptian Hakim. Now the Hakim is based on the Jungmann because when Nasser was, Abdul Gamal Nasser, who was the president of Egypt after the Colonel's Rebellion, held a coup and got rid of King Farouk. And he wanted to rearm his army with a more modern rifle. And they came up with this. Now, the Egyptians had 8mm Mauser as their standard ammo, so this one is in 8mm Mauser. But what was interesting is the original AG42 had a bar on it just like this for cocking it. It had two of them, one on each side. The Hakim, they kept that and kept it on this side. Well, a few years after the AG42 had been in service, the Swedes had updated it, and what they did is they took the rifle and got rid of this thing, and instead, back here, they put two little nubs on it back here. They were round cone-shaped things that were rifled, and by grabbing them, you could just move this. It's an interesting design because the way you cock it is like this. And if it's, there. And if it's in the safe position, it does exactly what it just did. On the other hand, if it's on the other side of this, and you do that, and, excuse me, I just realized, now let's just make sure you don't slam forward, you won't, okay. They also changed, in the AG42, they changed to a different locking system for the magazine. I took the magazine out because the magazine catch was catching the bolt here. So without the magazine in there, or with a full magazine, it would do this. That is much worse than Garand thumb, believe me. I have a reason to know. The Jungmann, when they came up with it, they came up with this ingenious double gizmo for holding the magazine in, because what it does, oh, come on, so I can actually see what I'm doing, is it clips in two places, so there's no way you can accidentally drop this out. That was one of the updates with the AG42B, was a better system for this. They improved the actual latch they had and put a thing on the front that you had to squeeze to pull the magazine out. Otherwise, the thing had a tendency to drop the magazine when you really just wanted to reload it. Instead, it would drop the magazine. Well, what's unique is, like I said, they sold this design to the Egyptians. Well, later on, the Egyptians, because of changes in politics and the like, decided they were going to get rid of the of the 8mm Mauser, and they went to a new design, and they went back over to Jungmann and to the Swedes to help them redesign this, because they had a factory already tooled up for it. You see, when the Swedes updated to their more modern rifle systems, they sold the full tooling of the AG42 to Egypt, and they just moved it down to Cairo. So Egypt had this full factory loaded full of tooling, and they thought, we want to do something, we can use that with a more modern rifle. So they came up with this. This is called the Rashid, and the Rashid uses basically the same sort of system, only in this case, you cock it on the bolt itself with an actual bolt handle that holds the bolt back and forward. And let's see if I put it in safe. No, I guess not. This one's, they're about, the tail on this is, when they made these, they only made about 4,000 or 5,000. Wikipedia says 7,000. I disagree. And when they surplused them, some came into the country, about 500, if that. This is one of those, but this one is in better shape than any other I've ever seen. It is in absolutely pristine shape, and I love it. And it shoots really well. It shoots 7.62 by 39. Think of it as a Egyptian take on the SKS. The Russians really wanted to sell them the tooling for an SKS, but they had a fully set up factory already, so why do that when you got this? Well, I no longer have an AG42, but I do have both of these, and these I think are kind of cool. So thank you, Ian, for letting me know that I could have kept my AG42 and fixed it. That makes me really sad, but at least it prompted me to go out and get something very similar, these two things, that I really enjoyed since then. The one problem with the Hakim is with the muzzle brake on the front of it. When you shoot this thing, it is horrendously loud. It will, even with plugs and muffs, you can still hear it because you can hear it in your bones, literally. When you hear a Hakim shoot, you know it, and you'll remember it. Others, I mean, I've had many a carbine that shoots really loud, but the Hakim takes the cake in terms of loud shooting. But it is a very powerful full battle rifle, and would work just dandy if I needed it for such uses. I'm just a collector. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because seeing Ian, he did the thing on the AG42 today. Go watch Forgotten Weapons. Ian is just a marvel of information on old guns. And this is one, I mean, I've got a Swedish Mauser and an M38 carbine and a Swedish bayonet that is the correct one to fit on a, it will fit an AG42, but it also works on an M96 or M38 bolt action. Oh well. I don't have a magnet or a bayonet for this Hakim, but the Rashid at least has one built in, sort of like an SKS. Well, that's all I got to say. Happy trails.